Check this out.
Bollywood superstars.
All set? Let's go.
So, Richa, let's start with Inside Edge. You know, your new web series that came out last month.
It's become Amazon's most watched series in the world, which means it's ahead of like American Gods, of all these other Amazon shows that have award-winning shows like Mozart in the Jungle, and I couldn't believe it. But it's the most watched series on Amazon. That's crazy. Worldwide, not just in India. That's very surprising and huge.
I'm sure. But you know, what drew you to the character or the show for that matter?
I want to do new things always. And the thing I feel like is cinema is not working right now for most people. It's just something there's too many systemic flaws in it. Like the business model is not working. Films are not making money. Big films are not getting made. The worst hit are small films, like films that I used to do, like Masan. Or these films are finding it really hard to find finance. And at the same time, first it's really difficult to put a cast together and produce the film. It's even harder to release the film because of the P&A stuff. And then after that, to make a profit on that film today in this market, it just seems almost unbelievable. Like really big films, when they don't do well, then it impacts everybody because of money in circulation. You know how it is. Like if a big banner and a big studio lose money on a project, they become that much more skeptical and conservative with their funds. For all these reasons, so this came to me end of 2015 actually. At that time, Excel and Amazon were not in the picture. I still agreed to do it because it was so well written. It was really interesting. It was like a very exciting piece of script work to have in your hands. And I thought it had a lot of potential because it has 10 episodes. You know, you can be freer with the story. You can tell the story in much more convincing ways. You don't have to think, okay, lamba ho jayega, ya isko 2 घंटे में खत्म करना है. There was no demand for an item song or a sex scene which wasn't needed or any of those. So I mean, for all those reasons I wanted to do it. And once Excel came on board, I mean, I had a great comfort level working with them. After I've done now Fukre, then 3 stories with them. In the middle I was supposed to do another film. That film itself didn't happen. Because of all these reasons, I was always very comfortable with Excel, and I love working with them. Farhan and Ritesh, they make really good producers. Like they always take care. Look, like yesterday they had the biggest party for all of us. We left at 5 a.m. and they were all there. Like Ritesh was there with us till about 5, dancing, putting people in cars, sending them home, saying chale jao. So it's just lots of fun. And when Amazon came on board, I realized that they would have the money to push and make this look a certain way. So it's actually not a web series, it's a VOD, like a video on demand format. Like you subscribe to the portal and then you get all these things. So, I mean, I just think it's an exciting time. In India, what happens is also screens are so few. And I have very bitterly experienced this on so many of my films. Like a film like Masan, which people say was niche or whatever, was such a rooted film that many people would have seen it in the smaller towns. But the only way they could see it was that they would pirate it and see it, because I had friends who were living in Mussoorie who had to go to Dehradun to watch it. And they did it because they were my friends, or who were living in like a smaller town called Vapi, and they would have to drive to Ahmedabad to watch it. Because Vapi and Mussoorie don't have single screens anymore. They don't even have multiplexes. So there are entire cities in India without any movie halls. You know, it's really sad. And because of that, like, it's so difficult to make a profit on a film. So there's really no chance. Even when a small film gets a decent number of screens, what shows do they get at that screen? They get like a 9 a.m. show or like 3 p.m. show. Not a single primetime show. All those things, I think with digital, we've managed to bypass that. And there's a great amount of strength in that. There's a certain democracy. You can just watch it at your convenience whenever you want. The quality is good. And you have so many options. If cinema doesn't pull up its socks in this country, it might become obsolete. Like what's happening in the West. 5 years ago, people declared that this is the golden age of TV in Hollywood. it wasn't really TV that they were referring to. They were referring to all these series that were coming like on HBO or on Netflix, or like Orange is the New Black, and all these completely amazing, and they all have film actors, Look at House of Cards. The best cast, and they're producers on the show. So that's how much they believe in it, that they put their weight behind it, not just as actors but as producers. So that will happen here. It's inevitable. Also because just watch on any given day, I barely watch television, but like cable TV, just watch it on any given day. Just do a run of the trailers that come. Tell me which film out of those that makes you want to go into the theatre, buy a ticket and watch it. Very few. They all look the same. You can't tell one song from the other. You can't tell one chase sequence from the other. It's just they look the same. And now there are many smaller versions of the bigger films with smaller actors but trying to do the same thing. So you'll see two completely unknown people running in slow and spreading their arms out like Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol. And all these films lose money. We are the country with the most output of films in the world, but quantity and quality are two different things.
Right. And you play the strongest female character in the series, right?
Yeah, in a sense, she's a protagonist of the show. She's the underdog who tries to sort of survive in this man's world, and she doesn't want to give up her her morality or her ethics. She believes in the purity of the game, and I don't know what's going to happen in season 2.
But you'll have a lot more to do in season 2, right?
I had plenty to do here also. Like, there was a huge date problem that I would have. If they were shooting for 75 days, I would be required for 52 or 54 days, and I always had to tell them, I have to go here, I have to go here.
Right. So, from being a rank outsider to being a credible player in the independent scenario, what does it feel like?
I think I am an outsider. I will always be an outsider to this business because beyond a point, I don't let it affect how I live. If like now you're in my house, it's so chill. I don't feel like that would be the case if you were to go to a person whose entire family was working in the business. For me, a Friday is a Friday. It makes a difference to my life in terms of whether the film works or not, or whether it clicks at the box office or not. But beyond a point, I can't get that much because it would drive me nuts. And this, it feels good. I've always wanted to have credibility more than anything else. I continue to work hard each time. I don't care. Sometimes it feels like no one notices. Sometimes it feels like very few people get it. And there are very low days in my life also, like when I was telling you, when I confide in people that are close to me, when I'm like, arey, how, like, because the whole system is geared towards so much unfairness and it's not changing anytime soon. The only good thing I feel like is, the only thing, I don't know, good or bad, is that people respect the box office more than the human being, more than anything else. They respect the box office. They just, if some film works at the box office, whether they like the actor or not, whether the actor comes late or gives them attitude or whatever, they have to work with them. So I feel like that kind of evens everything out. So I'm hoping that I have a big box office hit, so people will finally invest in things I want to do, and we'll be able to tell a diversity of stories, not just one kind.
Bollywood Superstars.